Hello and welcome to this first in the series of Out of the Box sessions by myself, James Radman, as part of the Rivers C Multi Academy Trust. Within this session today, we're going to go over why we need to use technology, how we can use this tool as an iPad in our teaching and learning every day. And everything I'm going to show you today is built in. And it's tips and tricks hopefully you'll pick up and use straight away, and hopefully over time I'll make these into a series of short quick wins that you can have as well. But I'm going to start with this presentation that looks a little bit about why we want to use technology. Now this came out from the Education Endowment Foundation, and it was considering how we should use technology to improve teaching and learning, how we can improve the quality of explanations and modelling, improve student practice, and improving assessment and feedback. And in particular today I'm going to look at this, how we can use it to improve the quality of explanations and modelling, because it's part of our toolkit, part of our tools that we can use as a teacher to pick it up and implement straight away. So we're going to look over navigation of an iPad, how you can use it, and maybe this is the first time you've been given an iPad, and so hopefully I'll show you some tips and tricks with it. I'll show you some modelling ideas, Apple Classroom, the Apple Teacher, so you can go off and learn some things as well. So the first thing we're going to look at is folders, and a lot of these sessions fit pictures. Today I'm going to do iPad on the screen here, and I'll do an overhead camera so you can see what it looks like and what I'm pressing in real time as well. Now I put this out on Twitter. What are the best top tips you can use? Things that may not be immediately obvious. And Paul Tullock, who is an Apple Distinguished Educator, put this: log press on apps and control center. So I'm going to start with that, how we can use folders to organise everything we have got. So here is my iPad. And what you'll be able to see are some of these features and some of these things we have got. Now, let's say this is my home screen. It's nice and clear. I don't want to have too much on there because it's one of those we really want to make sure that when we present and we airplay this to our laptops or to the screen at the front, children don't see things they shouldn't have. So this is my neatest one. If you look at my other pages, they're all a little bit of a mess. But I mainly use search to find things. So I'll show you that in a bit as well. But let's go back to the idea. How can I create folders? Now, here, if I long press something, you're going to have this button of Edit Home Screen. And if I can drag this over to another app, it will create it into a folder. Click somewhere else on the screen, and that goes away. So I can create folders however I want, but I don't want to have too many. I want them basically created as things that are quick, things that I want to get to straight away. And as you can see on the dock, this is what I have. So I have like the Safari, I have Teams, I have Explain Everything, which I use an awful lot, photos, files, scanning, and all of those things. But you can see I've got some settings. Some folders here. And in this folder, quick utilities, I can handwrite notes, the weather, really good in reception when I'm just working out when we need to go out, if it's too wet, and other things, and organise the day in that element as well, and we put our suits on to make sure we can go outside. But it's really good way of actually just organising some ideas and having those folders. So all I need to do with a folder, that was a test one, was just take it, drag it, and move it into my dock. Now the beauty of having your dock with everything is, so if I go back to a presentation, my keynote, I can basically access this dock from anywhere, so any app, and I just swipe up from the bottom. So my finger is off the screen at the moment. I swipe up a little bit, and I have my dock at the bottom. It means that, let's say I've got photos, drag this photos to the side, and can you see it just has that black element? Let go, and now I'm split. So let's say in this navigation, I'm going to drag this photo in there, resize it. And there I am. So sometimes though, we don't want it in split view like this. I want the full app. And in doing so, I'm just going to drag that off the screen again so it disappears. What I can do is something called slide over. So let's take photos again and drag it up. But this time, I'm going to leave it like this. You can see it's got a rectangle grey box. I'm not going to put it over to the side where it'll be in split view. I'm just going to leave it over here. And it'll create this slide over. You can see keynotes in the background, but I've got this slide over. So in this an instance. It's really good, so I can add my pictures in. I want to into this slide, resize them, and then when I want to get rid of this, at the top you can see a little bar. I'm just going to slide that off to the screen, and that's disappeared. But it remembers it. The iPad remembers. And it's almost that Photos app is here off the iPad. So let's say now this time swipe up, and I'm going to go to, I'll do a long press, I'll go to the home screen, I'm going to go to notes, and I want to add a picture in, and I swipe off from the right to the left, and this time I'm going to add this lovely seascape picture here. Swipe back, and there it is. So it's a really good way of adding photos, having things there straight away, just your photos. You can swipe in, swipe out when I'm adding them to elements like this, or taking stuff off the internet, dragging it into photos. Having the slide over is fantastic use there to really utilise what we are doing. So folders, really helpful if you want them in in your dock or on your home screen and those bits. But one of the other things Paul Tellick said is the control centre. Now a control centre is this area in the top right. If I had to put my finger off the screen and scroll down, you will see I have some key settings. Some of those key settings you can see I've got my airplane, so that means it turns off the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, but I've got some of these other bits on it as well. And I've got the camera, and things I want to access quickly. I've got AirPlay at the moment. Now, if I long press this, you're going to have options. Take a selfie, record a video, take photo, and it's a quick way to access the menus within it. Very easy way of utilising Control Centre. But one of the key things, especially for remote learning, is this one, which is the recording. But how do I add that to Control Centre? How do I actually personalise this? So I'm going to go into settings. And here is my settings. Now, it's not very well organised the way Apple have done it. They don't really make sense where things are. But there is on the left-hand side a search. Sometimes when you open settings, it appears like this. And the search bar is not very obvious. So if you're on your left-hand side, swipe down, you will see the search bar at the top. In the search, I'm going to search control. And you will see this option, the Control Centre. Click on it. And to get rid of the keyboard, I'm just going to click this. Get rid of the keyboard, and I've got all my options here. So let's say I want to get rid of the stopwatch. I don't want that anymore. But instead, I'm going to add voice memos because I want to quickly record some things that I listen to outside, and I'll come back to it later, or notes to myself. Voice memos. And now if I swipe down at the top, you see I've got the voice memos. I could add more of those. I could add more things. So I've got this one which is dark light theme. Often do things in dark for contrast. It's slightly better as well. It's a really helpful way of utilising it, and I've got my record screen here. Tip: if you are recording screen, make sure you press this down because you've got this option, microphone off. And if you just click screen recording, you're talking over what you're doing, often you'll find, where's my voice? Where's it gone? It's because you haven't got this enabled, this microphone on. So when I'm doing it, I click on there. I'm not going to do it now because I'm screen mirroring, so it will mess it up. Another thing, as we're on it, is here. You can see that I've got this moon white, so it's enabled. But if I long press it, I disable it for a minute and long press it, I've got an idea of do not disturb. So this is really good when you're in class, you're presenting, and I don't want any notifications to come through. So I'm going to put it up for 1 hour, so I shouldn't have any notifications while I'm doing this presentation. So that was folders, that was Control Centre. So there are a few top tips you can utilise. Let's go back. Thank you, Paul. Speech. Now, accessibility on an iPad is fantastic. The way you can utilise skills and tools within it, really get technology to help you and your learners. So let's go again. I'm going to settings. And this time, I'm going to look for the accessibility. Now, accessibility has its own options here. And I've got lots and lots of things I can go through, voiceover, zooming in, magnification, and those bits as well. But I'm more interested in this spoken content. If I go into spoken content, I'm going to turn on this speech selection. I've got option if I want to highlight the content, so highlight the rows, highlight the words, and so forth, and word colours, and how it looks in that way. So I'm going to leave that on and show you what that looks like within it. I can even choose a voice, and as you will see, you can change the speed of it as well. So swipe up from my dock, and you can see on my right hand side I have the three most the apps that I've just used. So I'm going to click on notes again, and this time I'm going to highlight this first stanza. So long press on something, you can see it's got the yellow, and you've got these two cursors. Just drag that cursor. Oh, so I'm doing it left-handed. Drag that cursor, and there you are. Now you'll have these options: cut, copy, and paste. But now you've got this new one, speak. And if I click speak, you can see it is.
I can't believe it's true. I saw her buying groceries, like normal people do.
You can see it's speaking, it's highlighting the word, saying it, and it's highlighting the line as well. So for those children who really struggle with instructions, having this enabled on their iPads is really, really useful feature in enabling everyone being able to access the content that you are using and you are using at the time. But let's go for some next things that we can do with an iPad. So that's a little bit about navigation, a little bit about top tips you can use within that, as well as the accessibility. So here we're going to look at three things within the Notes app. We're writing, modelling, we're grids and lines, and the document scanner as well. So Notes, I'm going to go to my notes here, and you can see I've put some text in there, I've put some images. So it's really a multimedia element of it. Top left, I'm going to have this button that has got a pen and a square, so I can do a new bit of text. On cover, I can write, and it doesn't have to be a crayon like I've got here. It can be a Logitech pencil, it could be anything else. And this is why these tools are very fantastic to use as a teacher within the classroom. Now, what you'll see at the bottom is these tools straight away come up. So you've got the A, which means automatic handwriting. So it should, and I say should, so I'll just switch cameras there. It should come up with what I'm actually going to write. So let's go to the overhead camera so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Hopefully it's in focus. There you are, a little bit better. So if I write the word hello, it will turn it into into text straight away. That's fantastic. It's a really, really accurate way of doing it. So you can see it's there. Hello. So I can write some more instructions. Really, really accurate. There are some new tools built into Apple. So for search, for example, you can do this anywhere you want to. And I'm just going to write the word teacher. And what it will do is convert that to text, and it will search for me teacher, the word teacher. I can see it's in there. And going back to the idea of where do I find apps, where do I find elements, what you can do is search. So with my finger, I can swipe down. Not long press, sorry. Swipe down, and I've got the search bar. So I can type into it, but maybe I want to write in it as well. So I can search notes. Okay, that's what I want. Click open, done. So what ISO 14's released is the ability of handwriting, and that feature all over the place. So if you're presenting, you can just handwrite all the time and get to things and search for things. But let's go back to what we were looking at. We were looking at following these instructions on what I want to do. So maybe you don't want the handwriting, so I'm going to turn that off, but I want to do some maths problems on the board. Well, the first problem I have is that I don't actually have squares to write on. I'm just going to click on this full size icon up there so you can see the full screen now. I want to add some of these features in. If I click these three dots, you're going to see I've got this lines and grids option. On it, you've got handwriting lines like this, or I've got some squares very similar to this. Unfortunately, you can't zoom in, but there's a very basic, very easy way of writing problems. And going through elements like this. So I can highlight, what do you think, what's going to cross the barrier, question, so I can highlight things as well for children to go through and do this. Now, if you was doing this as a remote learning thing, first thing I would do is record my screen, go into it, go through these problems, and then I can write and highlight, and then children can follow along. And having a short video like that means your children can go over and over. And this is built into the Notes app. It's a really, really powerful tool for you to utilise and explore within it. You've even got these options, a ruler. So if I am doing some drawing and I want to model actually how to use a ruler, well, it's very hard to put a ruler on an iPad and use it, or have an overhead camera and do that as well. So I can just put, so there you are, ruler like this, and I can draw. Now these tools here are not unique to Notes. They're in lots and lots of apps, and it's part of the Apple kit. So you can have these in Keynote and so forth. So it's fantastic tools that are built into it as well. And you could draw a finger and so forth as well. But having something like a Logic pencil or a Apple Pencil like this really brings the iPad experience alive in what you can do. One of the things you can also do is screenshot or take pictures of documents. And so this time I'm going to do, oh, I don't want the pen this time. I'm not going to do lines and grid, sorry about that. I want to take a picture. So, I can, bullet points there. Take a picture. So I'll click on the three dots and you'll see I've got scan. Scan will bring up a camera. Let's take a picture of this. Well, it is the slides for today. They are, and it will hopefully got the whole thing. It's not recognising it there, but sometimes it often recognises it. I can pull this in. Not very well lit. Usually it does this automatically if it's in a well lit room. But you get the idea. I could retake it. And keep the scan. So it's got my document here. Brilliant, like that. And then I can click save. Fab. Really easy way to keep documents and become more of a paperless classroom. We don't need to keep paper and wasting printing costs on things like that. So there you are. Really easy way of doing elements. But what if I want to annotate? What if I want to write on some of these things? So I'm just going to go to photos. At the moment, it doesn't have to be in photos. It can be in anything actually. Let's go back to picture I've got. I'm going to do this in Notes, but it doesn't actually matter. It's the idea of a screenshot. Now, on a screenshot, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. You need to click the home button and the button and the lock button, as you can see on the arrows on the presentation here. If you've got a different iPad like this one, you had to click these two buttons. So I'm just going to click these two buttons. And it'll do a screenshot. Screenshot will go to the bottom. And then I've got a few options straight away. So got a screenshot of my Keynote presentation. Perfect for this. First of all, I'm going to have the options to crop it. So I can move it in. And then I've got these tools. And you can see these tools are anywhere I want. So I may say, if it's a maths problem or a picture of children's work I'm doing over, these things will come up straight away. So I will say, right, and now I can write very good. So I can just put the notes, do drawings over there as well, and this is markup. If I click the word done, I'm going to have options whether to save it to photos and save it to files. So I'm going to keep this one and save it to photos. And what you'll see is in my photos that I've just got this new one I've taken today here that I've annotated and written over. If I had a bit of children's work, or let's say I had some work like this I want to annotate, what I will have at the top is the word edit. And if I click on edit, and then the three dots, you'll have a markup option. And once I'm on markup, you'll see I've got these same tools on the right hand side. So I can draw over and have the same kind of conversation and writing over children's work. This is fantastic when you're going around the classroom, taking a picture of a child's writing, and then sharing this up on the screen as well. So I can really use picture, annotating pictures, taking screenshots in doing that way as well. Let's go on to the camera. Now, the camera is one of the most powerful tools you can use on the iPad. And iLearn Primary Computing came up with the idea of time-lapse. Now, time-lapse is the idea that it will take lots of pictures over a long time. Now, this is fantastic for videos and for science experiments in particular. So a time-lapse looks a little bit like this. And it's taken that video that take a long time and shortening it down into something that is usable for children to watch. And it's a powerful tool. You don't need professional cameras, don't need anything else. Just set your iPad up on a tripod and do this over a science experiment. It could be, how long does it take for bubbles to pop? And you don't want to be sat there waiting for 20 minutes watching it. You could set an iPad and do that and watch that clip over a couple of minutes instead. Or it could be for bird watch, or watching the cloud formations and putting your iPad outside your classroom window and watching these go overhead so you can see all these different elements. Brings it to life, and it helps the children visualize the cause and impact. Now, one of these other tools built into the iPad, apart from like maps, but apart from notes and all this accessibility in maps. So let's go for maps. I'm going to search for New York. And the danger, especially with COVID at the moment, is that we can't really go and travel to these places. We can't actually, well, listen, we wouldn't take children to New York, but we can't really take children on trips in the same way as we have been able to this year. But maps allows us to actually get children to visit, to go and think about what does it feel like to be in a hustle and bustle of a city, what are the sounds you can hear, and get children to step into those scenarios and really enhance their writing and get them to understand these things. So when I've searched for a city, you're going to have a few options, and you can see I've got a flyover. Now, flyover straight away allows me to see, whoa, how does it feel like standing at the top of the skyscraper? And I can just go around, zoom what it looks like, and go into the cities, and like this as well. It's a fantastic way of really utilising technology and thinking about it in this way. Now, one of the things you can do is this city tool. So if I start the city tool, automatically it's sending me on a journey. And it's going to start at the Statue of Liberty and Staten Island and go through these different elements. And you could do this for lots of cities around the world, whether it's London, whether it's Rome. And you can go and have a look and see what you can go and explore. But as a stimulus for writing, it is fantastic. I'm going to pause that now. Hopefully you're not missing going abroad and going on holidays too much from watching that. But it feels like you can get there. Now, modelling. I'm just going to go over that one other step. So we've had that idea of going to city tours. We had that idea of annotation. But I'm going to show you this. And it's this idea from where you can go to websites. So this is going to SATS papers. And I've gone on to a PDF there. And if I click the share icon at the top, I want to save this. So if I click on the options, I've got the options to save it as a PDF. I then save it to files. I'm going to create a folder called SATS papers. Click save. And then once I've gone to files now, I can then go and annotate it. So here we are, SATS papers. Click on this icon, and then you can see the pen icon at the top. If I click that pen icon at the top, I can go through and annotate, I can write over it, and you'll see those same tools at the bottom that we were using earlier. It's a fantastic tool, being able to take PDFs straight off the internet and go over these elements with children as they do it or go through the answers. I don't need to have something that's different on the board. That's what the children have in front of them. And it saves a lot of paper. It saves a lot of effort as well. A few other tools that are really useful, really powerful on the iPad. First one, if you haven't used it and you have children's iPads, Apple Classroom. Now, Apple Classroom, once set up, allows you to see what the children are viewing. You're able to lock their devices, which is fantastic in year 1, year 2. In particular, it works all the way up to year 6. And the children go, after the first time you've done it. You can get them to open apps. You get them to actually lock into a certain app. So on this one, you can see Alexandra, Aubrey and Brian are all on different apps. Are they focused on what the task is? Maybe not. And I'm saying, actually, this is something I've sent out to you. I want you all to do it on Keynote. I'm going to be restrictive until we get to the stage where I trust you to go and use these different apps to combine media. If I want to, I can click the screens button. And if I click that screen button up here, I will be able to, then I can see everything the children have done as well. It is a fantastic resource. And Apple Classroom really transforms how you can use technology. So with all of these children here that I've got, there is an option as well. I've named them a 6th grade. So this is, let's say this is like a 1-to-1 scenario. If you worked in shared, it works exactly the same. And you just have like St. Clement's iPads, or you split them however you like. Now, when you have a Keynote file or something like that, you're always going to say, let's go to this Keynote, let's come out of the presentation. You're going to have the 3 dots and you're going to have share. And share's on any app. But I want to airdrop it. And if you have Apple Classroom set up, on airdrop, what you're going to have, it's not set up on this device, is that class as one. If I click on that one class, this template that I've set up for the children will go to all of the children's devices. And that is a really, really powerful tool you can use. You can see my phone set up there, so I can just click on that and it will go to my phone. But it's the idea that if I want to share something with children, don't need to email it, but airdrop. And it means I can have templates for children, click on the share, click on the class, and it will go to all of their iPads without fault. It's a fantastic, powerful tool you can utilize within the classroom, which I strongly recommend. Now, what can you do now? So hopefully I've just given you a few top tips that you can use and utilize. But the thing I would say go and do is look at the Apple Teacher website. Now, the Apple Teacher website allows you to go and earn badges for iPad, go and earn badges for the Mac or other things you do. Look at augmented reality, look at the Everyone Can Create and the ebooks they've done. And in doing those things and finding out some other how to navigate, how to do split view, how to do slide over, it will really help you as a teacher to use this as a tool in your teaching and learning. So have a look at that. Definitely go and sign up. And at the end, you have this Apple Teacher logo you can put at the end of your emails as well. One of the things they have up there is 30 time saving tips. I've hopefully shared quite a few of those things with you today, whether it's annotating screenshots, mirroring your iPad, how to scan a QR code, which if you didn't know, camera app is built in. So just have your camera over a QR code and it will come up with a pop-up. How to do a slow-mo, fantastic for fire, fantastic for writing. And it looks, that was our time-lapse from earlier, but our slow-mo is something like this and gets children to really think about fire. What does it feel like being in there as well? And check my YouTube channel because I've done a webinar similar to this, all about photography and the things you can do with the iPad in that as well. How you can annotate while presenting or have a whiteboard through the Notes app. And so this tool with very few apps can make sure you can really enhance your teaching and learning. So some of the other things I had from Twitter for my response are these. So use Siri to set recurring reminders. Fantastic. Document scanner built into Notes, which I showed you. Thank you, Matt, for that one. Apple Classroom. So as Paul said, you have Apple Classroom one side and split for you have your Notes app and make some notes about full assessment for learning. From Rachel Smith there, who's an Apple ADE as well. Pictures, marking up what the children can do. AirDrop, sharing things. One of the top tips for AirDrop is, I'm just come out of the presentation so you can see it, and it's this idea I showed you earlier, that make sure when you're on these, long press that, and then I'm on Control Center, you have AirDrop for everyone. Sometimes it's only contacts only, and that causes a bit of problem, you not receiving files as well. So that was just long press on these 4 things at the top, and then you have this AirDrop option. So let's go back to my presentation. Ask Siri to open apps. Put a keyboard into foreign languages, you could dictate into it that way. The accessibility function, screen mirroring, it's a portable visualizer, and the guided access. Really, really fantastic tools. Hopefully you found something useful and practical from today's session, today's webinar. And if there's anything else, please let me know, but keep an eye on my YouTube channel, and there will be more videos like this in the coming months. Thank you and goodbye.